Bam, we're live. All right, welcome to day 39. Man, got a good one here. Uh, this was one that is very interesting, right? Scheduling. We all think that we're good at scheduling, we're not wasting time. And I recognized early on that I didn't know what I didn't know about scheduling. And it's only till you see a lot of other people running jobs that you see the good and the bad. And I had been working at Nextel Communications right back when they had the push to talk. It was an amazing time. We were the first company to come out with something like that. And I got to go around and introduce it to a lot of contractors. And I saw a lot of bad contractors. I found one good contractor. This gentleman, his company ran a tight ship. And boy, they were schedule oriented and they were super efficient. Everything was organized. He had every job had a schedule, and they used to use whiteboards in their warehouse. They had multiple boards posted. And if you were a lead or a project manager for his company, you updated that whiteboard all the time. So at any point, anyone in the company could go to that whiteboard and they could see exactly what was going on with the schedule. And this guy shared something interesting with me. He goes, Mike, I can charge the same. I can charge more. I can charge less. Doesn't matter. I get the job done more efficiently. So I'm going to make money compared to my competition day in and day out. Right. So if me and my competition are bidding the job and we're around the same price, but it's going to take him 2 months and I can do it in 6 weeks, I'm going to make more money. And that was his motto day in and day out. That was how he learned how to compete in a competitive industry and make it work. I share that for a lot of you all because I understand that in remodeling, it is challenging. And you want to figure out what you can do to get ahead of your competition. And when price comes up frequently, right, and you're still getting your sales feet under you because for the longest time you're like, I don't need to learn how to sell. And then because you're scared of selling, right? But so then you tell people you don't have to learn how to sell because you're afraid of it. But anyway, as you get better, you start recognizing, well, heck, if I can sell well and I can learn to be more efficient with my scheduling to get the jobs done faster, look how much more profit I'm going to make. It's crazy. It starts scaling. All right. These are the little things that make the difference. It's how you can go from doing maybe 10 jobs a year to 15. And what if every job is another 10 to 20% more profitable? Do you see that's, and then you build a system on top of that. So the next project manager you hire, the next couple crews come in, and then the bar has been set. And they're like, well, the last 3 companies we worked at, we couldn't get a kitchen done in under 2.5 months. And you go, well, you will now, because here we get them done in 6 weeks, right? And that's the bar. And that's because we are efficient. We plan ahead. And the way we do that is at the end of each day, we're going to take a few minutes to prep for the next day. And on Fridays, we're making part of our day is prepping for the following week, right? Anyway, so I share all of that because I want you guys to succeed and make money and have a good time and love being in remodeling. I think remodeling is an amazing industry. And it's a heck of a lot more fun when you're making money than when you're not. All right, let me share my screen and let's get into it. It's a little late tonight. All right. Any of you saw my post? I want to give credit. I had an amazing teacher and coach in high school, Coach Mike Thomas at Calvert Hall. And he was a history teacher and the lacrosse coach. And he had some great lines. And I really respected him when he would say those. Like somebody would show up late. Somebody, you'd have a kid bring a paper in late and they'd have excuses longer than the paper they wrote, right? If they would have spent half as much time writing the paper as they did coming up with all the excuses, they would have had the paper done on time. You know what I'm saying? But man, somebody would come in and it was great when it was the first time. They'd say, I'm sorry, this or that. And they'd hand in the paper late or they'd be late for class. And he would say, well, better late than never. And then you could see like a little bit of the stress or anxiety drop off the person's face as they turn to like go sit in their chair and he'd go, and next time it's better never late. Right. Oh, it's a great line. I love it. All right. Let me share my screen. Hey, for those of you that have been, if you're following or you get good insight, please, if you're not already, you should check out the TikTok channel. Things seem to be working over on TikTok the best for me right now. I have figured out how to get a groove with these videos. The editing, I appreciate your patience. I'm still learning, but it seems like it's starting to gel. I'm sharing as much content as I able to, right? These videos take a lot of time and energy, and I'm doing them every day for you guys. So if you're not in TikTok world, get on over there, check out the Remodeling Academy, start following. Our goal is to see how fast we can get to 1,000. That's the only way we're going to be able to impact, as many remodelers and contractors as possible. All right. So as you know, this all started. My goal was to run a 30-day challenge. And just to point in perspective for some of you guys, I did it to challenge myself. I was like, I don't know how to go live. I haven't done any lives. I went live one time to just see how it worked and tested it. I was actually doing a little workout in the home gym, and I just put it on live to see how it went. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go live every day now for 30 days and put on this challenge and share something new so that I'm learning. So every day I'm on and doing what I can to figure out a little bit more about AI. I am finding it fascinating, enthralled. Just the other day, I went to Tesla and test drove, or had I might have shared this already, the Cyber truck. I went in a beast, and that I had it drive me around town. That is amazing. And then I am constantly using AI here when I do my video work, my editing. I'm using different agents to help. So I run a lean business, right? I don't have 1,000 employees, right? So I'm leveraging technology as much as possible. So for those of you in this remodeling game and space, this is your secret weapon. You start learning how to leverage technology and AI especially. All right. So let's jump into it. A little bit longer of an intro, and it is what it is. So, all right, we are on day 39. And as I've shared before, I am going to get away from this typeset and get into another editor for the content. All right. So here we go. Can't keep a schedule? Well, now you can. You're going to learn how to build one in seconds with AI. All right. So we're going to have this prompt theme. We're going to use AI to create the realistic, flexible remodeling schedules that eliminate chaos, reduce stress, build client trust before the job even starts. All right. It has become all too common in remodeling for everyone to just assume that we have to accept tons of delays. Now, I had an amazing experience at one point. I got to coach a couple that had a remodeling business in the local area, and they were going through some growing pains. They had a contract with one of the big box stores, so they were their kitchen and bath installer for a couple locations. They had been doing that for several years. It had ups and downs for them. The homeowner, the owners of the business, the husband and wife, they were stressed out, burnt out, and I don't think they were making really good money at the time. They were making money, but boy, the stress on their face. And we're talking a couple $1 million a year business, but it takes a lot to run a large business when you have a lot of crews, a lot of employees. They had several members of their family in the business, right? So there's all these dynamics. They were helping some people in the church. They had great people, right? But it was a lot of people. It's a machine. You got to feed it. And what got interesting was the owner, the gentleman that owned the business, is brilliant. This man, I was very impressed by him, and I have a lot of respect for him because he was super smart. He was licensed as an electrician in the state, licensed as a plumber, licensed as an HVAC contractor, licensed as a home contractor in our area. We have home improvement is what they call it. He's the only person I've met in my span of years that had that many disciplines and licenses in this industry. I come across quite a few guys that'll have 2, right? Like one of the specialty trades, they'll be an electrician and they'll get the home improvement or contractor's license, or maybe they are a plumber and get the home improvement, right? Some of them have, sure, HVAC and plumbing. A lot of times that, those license, but rare do you see electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and home improvement all together. Anyway, so they wanted to, I got hired to help them run the business more efficiently, grow it. Really what it was at the end of the day, it was a little bit of a huge learning experience for me, right? I came in thinking they really wanted to grow the business. That's what they talked about. Really what they wanted was someone to take care of all their problems. See, for them, anytime they tried to grow or do anything more, they just created more problems, right? And so they really just wanted someone to come in and firefight. And what I was teaching them was, well, we don't have to always be firefighting. I can show you how to stop setting the fires in your business. And anyway, so we had, difference of opinions at sometimes going through, but what ended up happening was I helped them negotiate a new deal where we got them a contract, and now they were in like over 16 locations for one nationwide big box store. So you're talking about now the opportunity to go, and it probably scared them to death. And I could understand why. If you don't really want it, sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for. But imagine if you're doing like 3 million a year, and now like that, your business has the opportunity to go to 16 to 30 million a year, right? But you got to put systems in place. And so it's a complex problem that can be solved. You just have to be ready to do it. And scheduling is super important, because there's no way you're going to be able to get through all of these jobs, right? We're talking hundreds of kitchens, hundreds of baths per year that we got to get through. And the only way that's going to happen is to be efficient, as exactly that efficient. And the way you do that is putting in proper schedules. All right. So that is why this matters. This is for those of you. And even if your goal isn't to really scale too big, at the end of the day, you should want to be more efficient. I mean, if you're getting paid X amount and you can do something in less time for the same amount of money, you make more, right? That should be, to me, that's a noble goal to go after. So how do we help you? And let's be honest, right? Remodeling jobs don't go off schedule usually during the job. If you're honest and you look back, they start falling apart long before the job ever starts. Why? Because no one actually sat down and planned and looked at the variables. And here's what I'm getting at. In my opinion, the remodeling train, right? If you look at the process of remodeling a business, hiring someone, you to being the contractor, you doing a job, it's like a train leaving the station, coming down the tracks to get to the next station. You should see that train coming from a mile away. You should hear it coming from a mile away. You should know when it's going to be turning this way, that way, changing tracks. And you should anticipate that at some point it might go off the tracks. So there should not be that many surprises. You should already be anticipating and saying to yourself, on this project, I wonder where things could fall apart. And then you work backwards to eliminate that, right? Now, for those of you, I was just talking to a gentleman the other day, he's kitchen and bath guy. And if that's your bread and butter, if you are not getting all the materials up front and either storing them in your warehouse or the customer's garage, that would be, I wouldn't recommend that. You should have a garage. You should rent a storage unit, a warehouse. And all materials should be going there. And once all selections are done, signed off on, materials all ordered, and every single thing has arrived and you've looked at it and it's not damaged and it's going to be adequate to go, then you schedule the job. You guys, I feel for you. It's like you hear ready, aim, fire, right? You're just off. The customer wants you to do the job. Boom, let's get it started. And then you go in, you rip everything apart. And it's like, well, now everything's on back order. I got to get this. I got to get that. You should have already known that it was going to be on back order before you stepped foot in their house. Anyway, it's a different thought process. I can share with you that that's how a lot of successful companies are running. So there's another bath company down the road from me. I mean, they do 15, 20 plus million a year. The only way they do that is a similar process, right? What you do is in your warehouse or your garage, you make sections, or you have like a shelf unit, a pallet or two, and then you tape it off. And this is the Smith's job, and this is the Johnson's job, and everything all gets shipped to your warehouse, and you just start stacking everything in that area, right? You have a checklist, and once it's all in, you schedule the job. All right, guys, let's move on. So imagine this. You give a rough estimate on a timeline. You promised 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how it goes. And then you'd figure, I'll just adjust on the fly. Now, here's the truth. That's how a lot of us get into the industry, right? But if you don't block time for things like inspections and plan for that, I better allow a half a day minimum, right? I better change. Probably going to have a change order. All right. Most likely there's going to be some sort of a sub delay if you use subs, especially like electricians, plumbers, HVAC, because you're not going to be able to control their schedule. You're going to show them yours. But, things come up. Guys get into accidents. You got to already have that built into your schedule. There's going to be material lead times, right? You got to already have that, anticipate that, walkthroughs. So then you're not planning. You're just hoping, right? And as I've shared before, some of you are hopium addicts. You're just hoping this and hoping that. And hope doesn't hold up when the client starts texting daily going, how much longer? Because they've hit the wall, right? And they're done. They're done with you, the excuses, the problems, and it all falls apart. And you'll be like, it wasn't our fault. We don't control that. How are we supposed to know? Well, you're supposed to know because you're a professional. You've done it before. So what to do about it? Well, before you ever price the job, you want to create a realistic schedule. Pardon me 1 second, folks. All right. So you want to create a realistic schedule, and you want to make it part of your planning process. Now, this does show the client that you know what you're doing and that you've done it before. Imagine that. You're a professional. And you respect their time and yours. It also protects your profit, right? You just can't afford all the chaos. A lot of you live in chaos, right? It's every day, and you think remodeling has to be this way. I can remember in the very beginning, I would wake up and go, man, I can't handle it. I don't know what's going to happen next. I got 3 jobs and I got 30 problems, and every day it's another one, right? Because I'm reacting constantly, just taking another hit and reacting. I wasn't getting ahead of the curve. I was behind it. Every job, I was just behind and behind, right? And it wears you out. It's debilitating, right? It is not sustainable. And that's why a lot of guys scale back and then like, I can breathe again. I can only manage 1 job at a time. And that's not the place you want to be, right? Many of you got into the industry because your goal was to run a company, not just be self-employed, right? You want to have a couple guys working for you. You want to banter around, have a shop, all the fun things. Well, to do that, you got to learn how to be on a schedule and be organized. So here's a prompt that you can use. Now, in our Remodel Rebels program, I get into this a lot more depth and detail. All right. But for the purpose of this video, I just want to give you something basic to work off of and understand that, like, there are levels to scheduling and being productive, right? If you're going to take on a major rehab or some large scale addition and this and that. And, we're talking a couple $100,000 jobs or $1 million jobs, depending on the area you're in and of the country and your clientele. These things require planning, right? One company I was with, they were growing from working with, they were growing from like 5, getting up into the $20 million a year prod range. And we took a lot of time focusing on how to work with our project managers, right? To get them to plan properly before jobs started. So if you're not doing things like a pre-construction meeting, right? And one of the things we would require of a project manager is before they schedule the pre-construction meeting, they have to already come up with a rough schedule and timeline, right? And they should do it in a Gantt chart style where they allocate out how much time for the different trades, and they can see, damn, if I want to have this job finished in October, when do I have to have the cabinets ordered by? When do I have to have this done? When should I be getting the permit? Right? You work backwards and you're like, damn, I got to get on the ball. Right? And that's how it should be done. The schedule should be done ahead of time. A lot of guys are like, well, I can't predict all that. Well, I can tell you this, you can put it in a schedule, and it's amazing. When you write up a schedule, it's oftentimes shocking how all of a sudden things start to go to that schedule. All right, so here we are. Use this prompt. You're going to use ChatGPT. You're going to use Grok, Cloud, Gemini, whatever one, DeepSeek, whatever one you prefer. So I'm a remodeling contractor. I'm creating a project schedule for a kitchen, bath, addition, whatever it may be. Build a realistic weekly schedule that includes all the major phases, right? So boom, you start listing out. We're going to be doing demo. And you should say, probably going to take us 2 days. Like, what's your crew size? Boom. All right. Then we got to do our inspections, right? Because you're going to do framing, and then you're going to have an inspection. Then you're going to do insulation, have an inspection, right? There's going to be rough in for electrical, plumbing, right? You got to allocate all those. So there's going to be drywall, paint, cabinets, all these things you should list out. It's going to take 3 days to do the cabinetry. It's going to take 1 week to do the sheetrock, whatever it is. Put in. It's going to take 2 days to do the flooring, right? It's going to take 2 days to do the painting. All right. So you put all that in there, and you're going to say, now present this as a professional planning tool, not a rigid promise. Format in a way that's client-friendly. Use weekly phases with milestones and space for notes. I would also include time for client walkthroughs, client meetings, right? Say, hey, I had one client, and here's how it worked. We had a huge project. We were doing new roof, new kitchen, new bathroom, deck, new siding, and they might have added windows. Anyhow, we would meet every Monday for about 1 hour and walk through, show them where we were and where we were going. Now, I wasn't always having to do it. It was a project manager. But what I'm getting at is this client, that was the level of attention and detail, and that's what worked best for them. We just met with them every Monday, and we would do a recap of what was done, and then we would present them and show them what was coming up. And that way they could see it at all times, and nothing ever got too far one way or the other. It was amazing. So, but imagine if you didn't schedule that and put that in there, and every Monday you're like, damn, that's an hour, you need to factor that in. All right. So once you generate the schedule, you can drop it into like the proposal packet. You can put it into your scheduling software that you use. Okay. And then this becomes part of that pre-construction planning agreement. Clients love it. Subs love it. Vendors love it, right? Some of you probably, if you haven't operated with or worked for or had a business that in the remodeling or construction space that's probably doing over $1 million a year, you might not even be aware of the level of detail that other companies are putting out there, right? There are other contractors that have everyone linked with a schedule for their jobs. So like I'm letting my vendor, my flooring company know, hey, you got to have all that flooring ordered because in 6 weeks, that's when we're going to need that flooring installed. We need to have it and whatever. Your vendors need to be linked, your subs, you, and the homeowner. Everyone should have a copy of that schedule. Nowadays, it's very easy to make it digital. Okay. But at a minimum, when you have that pre-construction meeting, you're laying it out. And see, here's what happens. Everyone sees it. Your subs are there. They look at it. And Joe, the plumber, goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, you're having me do the rough-ins, on September 15th. I'm out of town. My kid's thing and da-da-da-da-da. That should already be uncovered before you meet with the homeowner. But those are the things that will happen when you start getting a schedule. All of a sudden, people will start recognizing whether they can or can't do it. And if you never did that, then you see where all the problems start coming up. And it's like, oh, I didn't know the plumber was going to be out of town. Yeah, because you never showed him a schedule. All right. So what if you nailed this? Just take a minute and future pace, right? Say to yourself, picture this. You meet with a new client, you hand them a clear, written, branded project schedule before they even ask for it. You show them the project schedule for one of the other jobs that, let's say they were referred to you from someone else. Show them your friend's schedule. Hopefully it went to plan, and you can say, yeah, talk to the Smiths. This was the schedule we presented with them, and we were able to adhere to it. It was awesome. That will speak volumes. All right. So you meet with a new client, you hand them and show them that clear written, or you email it and schedule. They feel relief. They feel they can trust you, and they stop worrying about whether you will and when you'll get it done. And instead, they start appreciating your craftsmanship, your process, and they get excited because they sleep at night and they're not worried. The average homeowner is a worrier when their house is disrupted. It's very challenging to be in a home that's a mess and under construction. People's home is their safe place. It's where they like to come and unwind and not have to worry and deal with all kinds of problems. And believe me, when there's remodeling going on, that's usually a problem. All right. Because you're disrupting their daily routine. And all right. So understand this now, that if you're not behind, in your schedule, it'll be much easier for you before you ever even begin the job. So here we are. Understand that you just don't build remodels. You are building a real plan. So your challenge today is to pick one of your past jobs. Maybe it's one that ran late. Maybe it's one that drove you nuts. Or let's say you have a job coming up and you don't do this now. Let's do it. Show me. Give me a ring if you need some help with it. All right, Mike, how do I do this? Show me that chart. I can show you how we would put them, or do put them together for kitchen and baths and additions. And that it works. You just got to do it. So, all right, that is everything for today. I appreciate you guys tuning in, being here, and we'll stop the share. All right. If I can help anybody with anything specific about scheduling, as always, you can feel free to reach out. And that's it. If you're not in it already, get over to Remodelers, Helping Remodelers, our Facebook group. And if you want to go faster and you want more success, again, you can look into our Remodel Rebels program. That's where we do the group coaching. Okay. The only thing I can tell you is you'll be shocked and you'll be like, damn, I should have done this years ago. All right. And it is what it is. Your success, it's right here. It's ready for you. If you're frustrated and you're not having the success that you want, like, it's here. You just have to move. Take the initiative. Do it. Don't be saying to yourself, oh, I wish, I just can't do it. There's nothing that's going to work. Nah, it's right here. All right, guys, have a good one. Take care.